Good morning, good Monday morning, and welcome to Meta Mondays. I am your host, Dr. Linda Williams Lockhart. I know we finished with John chapter 11. We've walked through that. But this morning, I want to talk to you about a topic that just kind of keeps coming back to me based on John chapter 11 still. And let's focus on this subject. Bound, but not beyond reach. Bound, but not beyond reach. I want to ask you a question to ponder. How many of you from your past or present, traumas, hurt, whatever your situation is or was, you felt bound and you also felt like it was beyond God's reach? Well, I want to talk to you today about that, because you really aren't beyond His reach. He's just really waiting on us to surrender whatever has us bound. See, when we think of bondage, when we really think about it, some bondage has chains, and some chains in our bondage can't be seen. They don't rattle when we walk. They don't leave marks on our wrist, but they shape our thoughts, our reactions, our relationships, and even our prayers. Many of us are bound not by ropes, but by memories. Not by handcuffs, but by hurt. Not by prison walls, but by past trauma, present pain, broken relationships, fear, shame, or just unresolved grief. And sometimes the hardest part is this: we love Jesus, but we're still bound by the thought of, but does He really love me? I was there. I was there. I said, there's no way that God could really love me. Heck, I didn't even love me. So how could God love me? And today's podcast is for anyone who feels stuck, wounded, overwhelmed, or quietly carrying pain. Guys, I did it for years. I quietly carried my pain. I internalized it. I kept it to myself. But what I want you to hear very clearly is that Jesus is not intimidated by what has you bound. He's not intimidated by that. He is not exhausted by your pain. Now, we as humans, when someone is going through and you're talking to them or you're listening, it can become overwhelming. It can become exhausting. But God is not exhausted by our pain. Jesus is not distant from our trauma. Because remember, Jesus went through trauma too. Remember the cross? He went through his own trauma. But we have to remember, we have to learn that Jesus is the answer in all things. Secondly, we have to understand what binds us. See, bondage doesn't always come from sin. Sometimes it comes from survival. See, trauma can bind us. Abandonment can bind us. Abuse can bind us. Loss can bind us. Disappointment can bind us. We learn coping mechanism just to make it through. I know I did. I told y'all that when my brother died unexpectedly, I had to learn to cope. I had to learn different mechanisms, guys, just to put one foot before the other. See, we build these emotional walls to protect ourselves. I know what I'm talking about because I did it. We stay silent because talking hurts too much. You don't want to talk about those things. It just hurt to talk about it. Anybody else besides me been there? So think about this. What experiences in your life have a voice louder than God's promises? For me, it was my maternal grandmother's voice. Her voice became louder than God's promises. See, her voice was loud. You know, that voice that said, "You're nothing. You'll never amount to anything. You're unloved. No one will ever love you." See, that voice was very, very loud in my mind. It was loud. And that voice kept me bound, along with the trauma and the pain that occurred in my childhood. And all through adult life, that voice took over. Whenever I tried to accomplish something, "You can't do it. You're not smart enough. You're not good enough. You just need to quit. You just need to stop." That voice was louder than God's promises. But guess what? Jesus met me while I was bound. And he'll meet you right where you are. And see, one of the most beautiful truths of the gospel is this: Jesus does not wait for us to be free before he comes near. No. Think about Lazarus in John chapter 11. When Jesus calls him out of the tomb, guess what? Lazarus comes out alive, but still wrapped in grave clothes. Alive, but bound. And guess what Jesus didn't do? He didn't shame him. He doesn't say, "Why are you still wrapped up?" You know, we do that. You still grieving? You still holding on to that? That happened years ago. Dr. Lonco, why are you still referencing what happened in your childhood? You need to just get over it. You just need to move beyond that. That's what we say to people. But that's not what Jesus did. He didn't shame Lazarus. He simply says, "Loose him and let him go." And see, that's important, because sometimes Jesus brings life first, then healing. See, sometimes freedom is a process, not a moment. It takes time. Being bound does not mean you are broken beyond repair. Please don't believe that. Being bound does not mean you are broken beyond repair, because you're not. It means Jesus still has work to do. See, when shame shapes, not when shame, when pain shapes our identity, pain has a way of naming us. You know, I'm the one who was hurt, or I'm the one who was left. I'm the one who never gets chosen. I'm the one who's always struggles. I'm the one that's going through this. I'm the one that lost a loved one. I'm the one, I'm the one, I'm the one. But Jesus never addresses us by our trauma. This is how Jesus addresses us. He calls us beloved. He calls us healed. He calls us redeemed. He calls us seen. He calls us free. But we want to focus more on being identified by the trauma, more so than being identified by how Jesus addresses us. See, our trauma, our pain, our hurt explains part of our story, but it does not define our destiny. I need to say that again for the people in the back to hear it, that our trauma explains part of our story, but it does not define our destiny. See, let me ask you a question. Have you allowed your pain to become your identity instead of letting Christ name you? I did. I allowed my pain to become my identity. I'm a nobody. I'm unloved. Instead of letting Christ name me his beloved, his redeemed, his free, his seen. That's what Jesus says. See, Jesus is the answer. He's not the avoidance. He's the answer. Jesus does not offer quick fixes or shallow comfort. No. You know what he offers? He offers himself. Sometimes we want Jesus to remove the pain without touching the wound. But healing requires truth, time, and trust. I'm going to say it again for the ones sitting in the back. Healing requires truth, time, and trust. Jesus is the answer. See, Jesus is the answer when therapy is part of the journey. Jesus is the answer when prayer feels difficult. Because there are some times, and there were some times in my life, it was difficult to pray. I'm telling y'all, it was difficult. See, Jesus is the answer when forgiveness feels impossible. See, I thought it was impossible to forgive my grandmother because she's dead. Been dead since 1982. But Jesus is the answer when memories resurface. You know, when those old past hurts, those old words come up. Jesus is still the answer. Jesus is the answer when healing comes slowly. You know why? Because he is present in every step. Not just the final breakthrough, but in each step that it takes to get to the breakthrough, Jesus is the answer. So, you know, we're not failing because healing is taking time. Don't believe that. We are not failing because healing is taking time. No. That means we're walking with Jesus, and it's all in his time. And if we're going to move from bound to being unbound, Listen, Jesus doesn't just call us out. Guess what he does? He knows we can't do this alone. So he invites others to help unwrap us. You know, I told you we got to communicate with trusted friends and pastors and counselors and safe spiritual places. Freedom grows when we stop hiding. It's time for our community to stop hiding behind these traumatic places. It's time for our community to start speaking up and speaking out about our past traumas, about our past hurts. And I want you to think, who has God placed in your life to help you loosen what still binds you? I'm trying to give you a word of hope here. And if you're listening today, and you feel bound, I want you to hear this. Jesus is not disappointed in you. It took me a while to learn that he's not disappointed in me, and he's not disappointed in you. He's not tired of you. Now, I may get tired of you. You may get tired of me. But Jesus is not tired of us. He is not waiting for us to get it together. No, he's not. He is standing at the tomb of our pain, and he's calling our name. And even if you come out slowly, even if you come out wrapped in wounds, even if you come out unsure, guess what? Here's the reality of it. You are coming out. That's the main thing. You're coming out. See, what binds you is real, but it's not greater than Jesus. What hurt you mattered, but it does not own you. What you survived did not cancel God's purpose for your life. Jesus is the answer in your past, your present, and your healing future. And you know what I'm so glad about? That Jesus, he saw and he knows what has us bound. I'm also glad that he knows the pain we carry. I'm so glad that he will meet us where we are. I'm so glad that Jesus, now I'm talking about Jesus, will speak life where there has been death. And I'm so glad that this Jesus that I'm talking about will help us walk step by step into freedom. I'm talking about Jesus now. He's the only one that can reach us. He can reach us when we're bound. See, we may be bound, but not beyond reach. I pray that this podcast has encouraged you and helped you. If it has, and you're on YouTube, I want you to hit like, share, and subscribe. Because I told you, we're in this with each other and for each other. Don't keep it to yourself. Tell someone else about it. And until the next time, just know that you may be bound, but not beyond reach. Have yourself a super fantastic, great week. And until the next time, you are not beyond Jesus' reach. I love you, and he does too.